Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sports Talk Show. Say what you need to say. This is Gary Chicken Ingham this Friday, April the 19th, 2019. Hope everybody's ready for the weekend. I know I am, but we're glad that you were able to make tonight. Boy, oh boy, we got some serious things to talk about tonight that's on the internet and what's going on in the sports world. We're going to hit on some NBA playoff situations about the Eastern and the Western Conference. We're going to hit off on a baseball feat that has been done by a high schooler out of Ohio that is amazing, and we're going to end it up and round it off with the MLB talk of the internet. Hey, like I said, we're always going to keep it clean, but what I want you to do is say what you need to say when you call in. And listeners, please make sure you pay attention to what's going on tonight, because this is going to be a great show. I have two callers on tonight that is going to give us their intellectual whatever they want to say. They're going to say how it is. They're going to keep it clean, though. But I think these two guys I have on the line is going to really pep it up for us tonight. Tonight, we got two callers. The first caller is calling out of California. We got a Mr. Vern Spearman on the line. Mr. Spearman, are you with us?
I am with you. How's it going tonight?
It's going great, man. How that weather is out there in California?
It was sunny when I left. I'm out here in Texas right now, but it's 85 degrees finally. Got some warm weather, so I'm going to be loving that when I get back for Easter.
Okay, traveling, man. Now, the other caller we don't have on the line is out of Ohio. We got a Mr. Alvin Brown with us tonight. How you doing, Mr. Brown?
Not too bad, Mr. Eagle. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I believe that you called in on the show prior to this one, and it was a pretty good show, but now I got you back, man. And Mr. Spearman and Mr. Brown, I want you guys to say what you need to say so that the listeners and the viewers can really hear your opinion and your points on what we're about to discuss tonight. Any of you guys been involved in any sports?
Yeah, I played baseball for 16 years professionally, so, I'm ready to go with these topics.
Who'd you play for?
Came up to the Dodgers organization.
Nice.
With yourself, Mr. Ingram.
You know what, Mr. Spearman, I didn't want to throw you out there like that, but yeah, we did play on the same red clay with each other, so I'm glad you called in, man, because it's going to give us a really good insight on a position player's perspective, especially when we do that MLB talk. Mr. Brown, you played in some sports too, correct?
I did. I played 14 years, played overseas, and I believe I might have played a few games with you two fine gentlemen.
That's correct. I didn't want to put you on blast like that, but since you had to bring that out, I believe you used to throw some cheddar on that bump, right?
I do a little bit, just a little bit.
Did you ever face Mr. Spearman?
You know what? I think I did in spring training.
Okay. Who won that battle?
I think we about 1-1.
Who won that battle? If you had to put a W on it. Mr. Spearman?
I think we about 1-1. He got me in. I think I got him. I think we about 1-1.
Well, you know what, fellas? I think you guys are the perfect duo to deal with these topics. But first, we're going to hit this first topic about the NBA. Everybody knows that the playoffs are going on, and all these teams are pretty much trying to beat the other team to get to the finals. We're going to talk about the Western Conference real quick. Golden State is up 2-1 on the LA Clippers. Houston is up 2-0 on Utah. Portland is up 2-0 on Oklahoma City, which I think that's a surprise for me. And Denver is down 2-1 on the Spurs. Going over to the Eastern Conference, the Milwaukee Bucks are up 2-0 on the Detroit Pistons. And the Boston Celtics, which is no surprise, is up 2-0 on the Pacers. I thought the Pacers were going to give them a little bit better run in that. And the 76ers are up 2-1 on the Brooklyn Nets. And the Toronto Raptors are even with the Orlando Magic. Mr. Spearman, being from California, your pick to go to the finals is probably going to be that Golden State Warriors team. Is that what I'm thinking?
You are correct, 100%.
Really?
They are going to the finals again.
Why do you think they're going to the finals? It's not. Hey, they haven't won the first round yet.
I'm gonna quote my man Ric Flair. To be the man, you got to beat the man, and until that happens, you got to roll with the Warriors. I know everybody out there got their teams, and they gonna hate and everything, and we ain't gonna get into that. Oh, Durant left to join the '73 team, because if you really want me to break it down, the Warriors was already good before Durant came. Did he add some that extra piece? Yeah, he did. But people ain't gonna sit and tell me that the Warriors wasn't already a great team before Durant came.
Wow, Mr. Spearman, you said a mouthful right there, man. So it seems like you got Golden State just walking to the finals and pretty much winning. Mr. Brown, who you got going to the finals? Do you go with the Golden State Warriors?
Well, I'm also a Cali boy too, born and raised in Cali. I'm a true diehard Laker fan, but of course, they're not there this year.
Right.
But we gonna get our due. But I still have to go with a West Coast team. Okay. And it has to be Golden State.
Wow, 2 Golden State guys. Man, I can't believe both y'all on that same bandwagon. Now, I will say this. I follow basketball a little bit, but I think you guys sound like basketball connoisseurs. But, my man LeBron is not going to be in the playoffs since 2005, so that's kind of heartbreaking for me. But, hey, he's going to see what he's going to do in the offseason, get himself better, and be ready for next year. But if I was a betting man, I would probably put my money on Golden State to for sure going to the finals and possibly winning again, because they got a powerhouse team. But who I think could probably take them down is the Houston Rockets. So you got to watch out for Harden, man. That Joker can play. He can play. But
yeah, he's a real deal. He's a real deal. I agree.
I understand that. So
you know what?
Yeah, let's hear it, Mr. Spearman.
Houston is a threat, but it's a lot of some other teams that are threats. In the conference. And
that's right.
The beauty of basketball or any sports, you got to play the games. Now, I will say this: Harden ain't proved it in the playoffs.
Wow.
And that's what everybody's going to have to see. He's going to have to do something different. We know Harden's a great player.
Yeah.
He does it, in the regular season and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But to be considered really, upper echelon great, he's going to have to get a chip. Otherwise, he just go down as just a great scorer.
I totally agree with you, man. And you know what? The regular season doesn't matter when it's playoffs. That doesn't matter if it's basketball, football, baseball, or Major League Fishing. It don't matter what sport you're playing, but you are so right. And you got a point, Mr. Spearman. Harden really don't show up in the playoffs, man. And he show up in the regular season. But I think if him and Chris Paul put it together, man, and they get hot at the same time, they could be the one to take them down. In the Eastern Conference, though, everybody hoping the Celtics, I think the Celtics and the Sixers link up, because to me, Boston has the best team in the Eastern Conference, but the Sixers, it's like they can surprise you, man, for some odd reason. Which one of those teams, or which team in the Eastern Conference, Mr. Brown, you think is going to take that torch and run with it?
You know what? Basketball is a funny game. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on who got the drive that night. You know what I'm saying? Because I've watched some games that you think a team that's supposed to win,
right?
Like for example, like oh geez, I just forgot the team that quick. That's down 2-0.
Oh, you talking about the Pacers, right? Or the Bucks?
Who?
The Pistons or the Pacers? That's what you're talking about?
No. The other one, the other team.
Mr. Brown, you supposed to have your teams in your hip pocket, man, like that. We talking about the Eastern Conference. The Detroit Pistons are down 0-2 by the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Toronto Raptors are even, and the Pacers are up 2-1 on the Brooklyn Nets, and the Sixers are up 2 on the Brooklyn Nets, and the Pacers are down 0-2 to the Celtics. So if you had to pick one of those teams in the Eastern Conference, who would you pick going to the finals?
Oh, I gotta go with Boston.
I'm right along with you, man. Right along with you. 'Cause I think Kyrie Irving got something to prove, man. I think he got that fire built up in him in there. So we're gonna just. What you say, Mr. Spearman?
I think you're both wrong.
Okay, so if we both wrong, what's your correct answer then, Mr. Spearman?
You know what? Based on what you've been looking at, you got to look at, like I said, like Mr. Brown said, baseball, any sport is about trends. You know, who's going in hot and what's not. You just discounted Milwaukee in Toronto. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, it's going to be one of them two teams that's going to be representing the East.
Well, Mr. Spearman, I said Boston because, Boston lost some tough ones last year. And they got a lot to prove this year that with them getting there last year was no fluke. And they should have, and actually, I thought they should have been in that finals. You know what I'm saying? Well, so they got a lot to prove. So right now they're on a mission.
Well, Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown and Mr. Spearman, you both have valid points for those arguments, but we're gonna move it right along because it's still in the early phase of the playoffs, and in the next 2 or 3 days, anything could flip the script in the basketball playoffs. You know how basketball is. The hot hand get hot at the right time, then they can win. Moving on to the next topic, we're gonna talk about this baseball feat that has never happened in Major League Baseball. This is involving an Ohio high schooler. He's a junior by the name of Luke Bora at Perrysburg High School. This kid in a single game has done something that has only been done once in college and once in the minor leagues, but never in the major leagues. This kid hit 4 home runs in a 22-14 victory. The sequence of it was amazing. His first at-bat, he hit a solo home run. Second at-bat, he hit a 3-run home run. Fourth at-bat, he hit a 2-run home run. And his fifth at-bat, he hit a grand slam. This kid finished 4 for 5 with 4 home runs and 10 RBIs. Mr. Spearman, I'm going to throw this question at you first since you're a position player and you were a hitter. How hard do you think that was that kid did that day, man?
That's a unbelievable feat. I mean, hitting home runs is it's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
I mean, hitting one, let alone hit 4 and everything. Right. I had a question for you, Mr. Ingham, before I make my point.
Yes, sir.
This kid, was this, you said it was something that ain't never been done. Was it just because he was a high schooler?
It has never been done in Major League Baseball, but it's been done once in minor league baseball and in a college baseball game, but never in the major leagues.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, because college softball player actually a couple months ago hit a home run, the cycle.
Wow.
In home runs.
So she did the same thing. She
did it a cycle though. She hit a solo home run, she hit 4 home runs, she hit a 2-run home run, 3-run home, and a grand slam.
Wow.
And that's not to take away from the kid, because that's amazing for for the high school player. Because 4 home runs is 4 home runs. Let's not get that twisted. It's hard, but go ahead.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Spearman, because I didn't know that a softball girl had did the same feat. So I wish we knew her name, because I'll give some accolades on this too. But like you said, no matter if it's in softball or baseball, hey, that's a very hard thing to do. Now, let me ask you, Mr. Brown, the pitcher in that game, I don't know if it was 1 pitcher or 2 pitchers or 3 pitchers that gave up that feat. If you was a pitcher that gave up that to 1 player in a game, how would you feel, and how would you go about the rest of your season if you gave up a feat like that, since you was a professional minor league and professional pitcher?
When you pitching, and I'm sure the guy that was pitching to the kid was probably giving everything that he had, and sometimes you get beat, get beat like that. You try to get the kid out. I'm sure he was throwing everything he probably had in his repertoire trying to get this guy out. And the way it sounds like, this kid was just zoned in.
Yeah, he was.
He sounded like that ball probably looked like a beach ball to him.
Mr. Spearman, I know you probably can attest to the feeling of baseball looking like a beach ball, especially when you get up there and you just line about 4 or 5 singles in a game. You steal a few bases. I remember back in the day, Mr. Spearman, you was a base stealer, man. So getting on base was your specialty. I know that for a fact. But Mr. Spearman, let me ask you this. If you hit the same type of cycle this kid hit, how would you feel the next day? What you think was going through this kid's mind after he did that?
Man, he probably getting all that, adulation from everybody and everything. It's a great feeling, like I said, to be in that groove. Yeah. Now, after that dies down, because, the philosophy on when you play, any kind of sports is, what have you done for me lately? That's great, celebrating for the night and everything, but you hope to maintain that same groove and whatever you see, and to continue on for the next day and everything. And you just ride that wave until it's until you. I want to say, come back down to earth, so to speak, or when you go for 1 for 3, or 1 for 2, when you don't have a 4 for 4 game, but you try to ride that wave, man, and so enjoy it for the night and everything. When you accomplish that, but then just keep grinding and working hard to try to maintain what you got going on.
You made perfect sense right there, Mr. Spearman. Coaches out there, listeners, baseball personnel, listen to what Mr. Spearman say, because that's just one game. This kid got to refocus. He got to get his concentration back, because if you dwell on things like that every day, sometimes that can take you backwards instead of forward. So that was a great point you made, Mr. Spearman. And on to our final and last topic, which is the juice of the juice. And, people, I'm always going to talk about the stuff that's going on at the present time on the internet. And I'm pretty sure all you listeners and viewers have either heard or seen what has happened in the Chicago White Sox Royals melee that started from a Tim Anderson bat flip, and it caused some controversy with the Royals team and a bench clearing brawl that got Tim Anderson and the pitcher, I think his name was, I forgot his name, start with a B. I forgot his name right off the top of my head, ladies and gentlemen, but this bat flip has caused some controversy in the world of baseball right now. I'm going to ask a few questions to you guys, and I'm going to start with Mr. Spearman, since you are a position player, and I know you done hit a few home runs. You was a speed guy, line drive guy, but you still went deep occasionally.
Occasionally.
Do you think that hitters or pitchers, and Mr. Brown, I'm going to come to you next. Do you think as a hitter, Mr. Spearman, do you think you should be able to celebrate with a bat flip or some type of dance or some type of gesture to show that you just went deep off a pitcher in the major leagues?
You know what? I wouldn't say you need to be dancing and nothing like that. But if a guy hits a bomb, he hits a bomb. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I mean, I have no problem with a guy, back flipping or whatnot. Because, like I said, I mean, obviously, the pitcher threw the pitch and hit it and everything. And it's just one of the things. You got to be able to play, have emotion. The game is supposed to be fun and everything. And a lot of people are really sensitive about, stuff like that. And me personally, I mean, if the pitcher strikes me, have himself some emotion, I ain't got no problem with it, because he got me.
All right. Mr. Brown. So, moving from a hitter's perspective to a pitcher's perspective, when you on that mound and you got a bases loaded situation and it's 2 outs, it could be the tying run or the game-winning run, and you just mow down this guy for the last out to go into extra innings for your team. Do you think that's cause for a pitcher to celebrate, or do you think pitchers shouldn't celebrate at all? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, baseball is a sport of trial. It's somebody's gonna be on the losing end, and it's all about being professional in your craft that you do.
Okay.
Honestly, if it's a game-winning run, it depends on the situation.
Okay.
Of course you're going to celebrate, because, your team probably worked hard to get back on top, or your team worked hard to win that game. Right. Of course you're going to get some celebrations. But a guy flipping a bat in the first inning, second inning, third inning of a game that just got going, I don't think that's a good idea.
Hey, look, listen to this though. It's a bomb. It could be the first, second inning. I'm going to throw something at you guys, which I know y'all been following the game. If you can remember, the Cincinnati Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates had a little brawl about a week ago. It was involving Derek Dietrich of the Reds, and Mr. Archer was pitching, and Derek Dietrich hit a bomb. He hit 2 that day, but his second one, he hit a bomb in the river. Did either one of you guys see that?
I sure did.
Now, this guy, he stood in the box until pretty much the ball hit the water and then started running. Do you think that is in the same form or fashion as what Tim Anderson did? Or do you think that's less in the fashion of Tim? Because for me, and of course, when Dietrich came up again, he got thrown at by Mr. Archer. So do you think that, which one do you think is worse, the bat flip or him standing in the box for 15 seconds before he even run out of the box, Mr. Spearman? Which one do you think was worse?
If I got to make a choice, I'm going to say, standing in the box. I'm going to go to Mr. Brown's point. That's not a World Series, a game ending, you know what I mean? Game ending situation where it's playoff, high drama, something like that. This might be, early season game. I mean, you hit the bomb, I'm cool with the bat flip, whatever, but get to running around the bases. You don't need to stand there like, the season's over with. That kind of just takes a little bit too much for me. And I'm a position player, like I said. I don't take it personal. If I'm playing defense, my pitcher gives it up. Yeah. A bomb and they backflip or whatever. Now that's just me. Pitcher may have something.
Right.
My teammate may have something to say about that, but that's just me. But I'm not gonna go disrespect the game to that point because everybody, we're trying to be entertained, and that's what people need to understand. Yeah. And bring excitement to the game, and people are showing their personality and everything. I think you can do things like that without really crossing the line, so to speak.
Well, before I get to you,
is part of the game, isn't it?
Before I get to you, Mr. Brown. Before I get to you, Mr. Brown, I'm going to hit on that last statement that Mr. Spearman said, it's entertainment, it's a game. I saw Marcus Stroman of the Toronto Blue Jays. He was talking to a reporter, and this is what he said. It kind of goes in the vein of what Mr. Spearman said. He says showing emotions and passion is part of the game, and you play at your most elite level by doing so. Mr. Stroman said that he could care less about giving up the long balls, but he feels that, when a guy goes deep off of him and they do a bat flip or whatever, that's just that person letting out his passion at that time. And, sometimes hitters do things like that to try to pump their teammates up. Now, don't get me wrong. If you hit a home run, like you say, at a time where it's not really a celebratory time, then it would be better probably for you to just hit it, put your head down, run the bases, and give your players high five. But I do believe that the ones when you hit a game-winning home run or, like I said, a walk-off home run and those type of things, I think that is more accepted in the game of baseball, whether it's major league or minor league. But for some odd reason, this is an unwritten rule that I guess people call it baseball etiquette, where you shouldn't show up another player. Now, Mr. Anderson, the fans like the long balls and the bat flips. And I see fans really, they really respond to home runs and when guys show off in the batter's box. But let's say a pitcher shows out, because I know it's a few pitchers out there today that they ain't afraid to show their stuff on the mound when they get a strikeout or blow up a guy's bat and all that kind of stuff. So what do you think? Let me ask you this. If you was a major league pitching coach, what would you probably say to your pitchers about their antics on celebrating on a pitcher's mound in a game?
Well, I'm old school. I'm old school. I came up old school, and I remember my pitching coach. Always said, you gotta keep your composure. You can't show no emotions on the crowd because you don't want to tip nobody off on how you feel. You want to try to stay evenly killed the whole time, so nobody even know if you winning or losing.
Right.
So my thing is, and see, this is the thing that I want to bring out that I really hope everybody's listening to.
Say what you need to say.
The game has changed a lot. Back in the day, and I'm sure Vern and Gary, you guys can agree to this. Back in the days, you didn't really see all that back flipping and standing at the plate, and that was the reason why, because guys threw inside. And the guys threw hard. Yeah. So if you got a home run off a guy that threw hard and pitched inside, you're going to hit that home run and you're going to get around the bases and come on back because you knew if you stood at that plate, the next one might be a little bit chin tight on it.
Hey, I'm not laughing.
They don't do that. So that's why the hitters don't fear like that. So of course I'm going to hit a home run and flip my bat.
Hey, Mr. Brown. Hey, you just brought out the next question with that last suggestion you made. My question was, and I want you to answer this for these names I'm going to give you, Mr. Brown. What do you think old-time pitchers would do like Bob Gibson, Roger Clemens, and Nolan Ryan to guys today that are doing the bat flips after a home run?
Oh, man. They be probably coming off the field with ice bags on because they did just a couple of BB to the side with it.
And you know what, you're right, Mr. Brown, because I can remember, I don't think Barry Bonds ever charged a mound on anybody. Bonds used to be the type of hitter that get up there. He had all that body armor on, but, the pitchers had to throw him inside, and he used to just get hit, drop his bat, and walk to first base. And like I said, man, the game is different today than what it was 20 years ago. And, the fans pretty much, they want to be excited. Fans want to be able to see something going on besides guys running around the bases, running across the plate. They like to see certain things like that. But, in our world as professional athletes, we got to be careful at how we act on the field. We should always be professional baseball players. And like I said, I saw Tim Anderson myself with the White Sox the 2 years I was there, and I wouldn't take him as a guy that likes to showboat and stuff like that. But, just looking at the video and watching him with the bat flip, I mean, I've seen some worse bat flips than that. But, of course, they were like game-winning or game-ending home runs, but I've seen some worse. And once he hit it, I don't think he was thinking at the time because, when you're in that type of emotion, such as what Mark Stroman said, sometimes your emotions overtake how you should act. Does that happen to you at all, Mr. Spearman? Like during your career, did you ever have a time where, let's say you stole a real big base and you get second, and you probably was like pumping your teammates up and all this stuff, and the other team probably was like, why is he acting like that? Did that ever happen to you during your time in pro ball?
I mean, but of course, I'm not going to say I didn't, get charged about stealing the base or something like that. I'm like Mr. Brown. I try to, play the game right. I keep my composure. I let my actions, speak for themselves. But,
right.
I mean, let's just keep it real. This is big boy ball, basically. When you're in the big league and everything,
true.
And you're out there playing, hey, if you're going to do those type of things, where you're going to sit there and you backflip and whatever. Like I said, you don't know what the other person's thinking. Like I said, me personally, as a position player,
right.
I didn't take no thing about it. It just motivated me. Like if I faced the closer or a hard thrower like Mr. Brown or somebody like that,
right.
and they show some motion and struck me out, you know what I was doing when I was walking out to the outfield? I was like, well, I can't wait to face him again. I'm going to get him. And that's just competition.
There you go.
And I was always like that.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter to me. That's what brought up the best in me. And so that brought up the best of him. I think, like I said, individually people got to, think for themselves and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, that's just how you're playing. It don't, I'm not going to take it personal. It's like that old saying in football. You don't want the team to keep scoring? Stop them. Because they're going to keep scoring on you until the game is over. Stop. You don't want to hit a home run? Figure a way to get him out. And then the flip side of it is like this, though. If you don't do something like that, be willing to take it and then move on and keep going. Don't sit there with a charged mind like, hey,
right.
The guy you took it deep. He took it the wrong way. He didn't take it like you. He don't think like it's emotion. I'm just competition. He took it the wrong way. So walk on down the line. And like you said, 20 years ago,
right.
Roger Clemens, Bob Gibson.
Them jokers.
Hey, they want to hit you.
Oh, no, they don't want to hit you. They gonna hit you. That's what they were gonna do back then.
And the part I love about it is they wouldn't hit the next dude. They went to the dude that hit the home run, come up there and make sure he got. That's how tough it was back then.
Absolutely. They
was like, okay, you want to do this? I ain't gonna hit the next dude because the next dude didn't do nothing. I'm gonna hit you.
Absolutely.
And that's how they regulated that stuff. But nowadays it's kind of with baseball, it's kind of going off the way, so to speak, because it's usually the next guy that gets hit or somebody else, and it's just a lot of unwritten stuff that's just kind of crazy for me now.
And you know what else too, fellas? The umpires are in a tough situation now because when incidents like this occur, they have to decide whether or not to give a warning or if it was intentional. And basically, I think the union, the umpire union, is putting in their hands their discretion. So even though from both teams it looked like it wasn't intentional, but if that umpire says, to me, It was intentional. So you guys are gone, which both of them guys got one game suspension. Then that's what it is. And then all of a sudden, you got the managers yelling at the umpires. Because actually, David Bell came out that day when Archer Archer didn't even hit him. Archer just threw behind him. So he didn't even hit him, but the intention was there. But David Bell was really mad because they didn't toss him. They gave him a warning. But I'm going to say one last quote from Amari Garrett, a left-hander from the Cincinnati.
I got Gary, I got a quick question.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Hey, how many bat flips did you see against Pedro or Dwight Gooden or Maddox and them? How many bat flips did you see of people standing at plate?
Hey, I probably can count on one hand or how many, and it might not be but two. I don't know. It's pretty minute compared to what's going on today. And like you said, the times have changed in baseball. Guys are trying to hit more home runs. Guys are pimping home runs. Pitchers are showing their expressions. Some guys aren't hustling like they want, because Manny Machado was in that hustle controversy last year when he was with the Dodgers, when they was trying to win ball games. So the game has evolved and changed into a lot of different things. We only got a couple minutes left, but like I said, Amari Garrett of the Reds, this is what he said. He said if a hitter celebrates, then he thinks a pitcher should celebrate. And you know what? If you want to just go by common sense, I think that's fair in all regards, because if you're going to hit a bomb off of me, I'm talking as a pitcher, I mean, if you want to celebrate, go ahead. But if I strike you out, if I want to do a cartwheel and a nosedive in the grass for striking you out for the third out, then you can't look at me or stare me down, because it is totally different now. But, these guys are going to have to deal with the consequences of that. They both going to have to get back on the field. And I'm pretty sure they're going to face each other again this year. And hopefully nothing like this happen. But ladies and gentlemen, this was a great conversation tonight. We talked a little bit about the NBA, Western Eastern Conference on their way to the finals. We talked about a baseball feat from a high school kid, Luke Bohr, out of Perrysburg High School in Ohio. This kid went 4 for 5 with 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, and hit a solo home run, a 3-run, a 2-run, and a grand slam. That feat has only been accomplished in college and in the minor leagues. And I want to throw this in before we get out of here. I'm going to tell you what player I think might accomplish this first in the major leagues. I'm picking Mike Trout. Who you picking, Mr. Spearman?
Yeah, to accomplish it in the major leagues.
Yep, I'm picking Mike Trout. Who would you go with?
Single, solo, let me see. Sounds good. I mean, that's a hard feat. But if I'm gonna throw a name out there,
right?
Obviously, I got to throw a hitter. So I'm gonna throw some Bay Love, Chris Davis.
I hear. He just signed a contract extension as well too, Mr. Brown. What hitter you think will probably accomplish that feat in the major league level first?
The kid from the Yankees,
Stanton,
the big boy.
Judge.
Judge, yeah, I think Judge could do it.
Wow. So we got Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, and Mr. Davis from Oakland, man. Hey, guys, like I said, this was a great conversation. We touched on the hot topic with the Tim Anderson bat flip and the controversy that's going on with that. And ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from the mouths of Mr. Alvin Brown out of Ohio, Mr. Vern Spearman out of California. They said what they needed to say, and they said it well. Guys, I really do appreciate you being on the show. I hope to have you on the show again. Thanks, Mr. Brown, for joining us.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you taking my call.
Thank you, Mr. Spearman, for joining us as well.
Anytime, Mr. Ingram, you can reach me, and I'll bring the realness to you and give you some facts.
I won't
Warriors, baby.
Say what you guys need to say. I appreciate you guys, and talk to you soon.
All right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was a great conversation tonight we had with those two guys. Unbelievable former professional baseball players. One was a position player and one was a pitcher. So it was good to have those guys on to give their thoughts and opinions about what was going on with that Chicago White Sox Royals situation about the bat flip and Tim Anderson getting hit and everything. But, like I said before, go on Facebook, go on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel. It's the Say What You Need to Say YouTube channel. Subscribe and hit the notification button on Facebook. Leave your comments. That's how I come up with my topics, ladies and gentlemen, and my discussions on you leaving comments. Leave as many as you want. Say what you need to say, but keep it clean. And also, if you need to contact me to be on the show, my number is 706-464-0090, and my email is Gary, GaryIngram @yahoo.com. Until next show, ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.